Hi Kajal, how are you?
Hello, good evening, ma'am. Good.
Great. So this is regarding the letter that you had sent to me for assessment. So that's what we are going to discuss today. Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
All right, great. So let's discuss your Allison Watson letter. So in this letter, I think the selection of data was mostly correct. Just a few things were missing that we are going to discuss. And I believe you do need some improvement in grammar. So we will discuss that more particularly very soon. So let's start from
Yes,
the
ma'am.
layout. So in the address, you've written everything quite well. The date is also fine. Here I see that you've written Allison, but I think in the letter there was double L. So please make sure that the spellings of the patient's name should always be accurate. So this is not the mistake that you should be making because this is where we know that we can get marks. So make sure that you're noting down the names correctly. It's very good that you use the right title for Alison Watson, so that's good. The greetings are fine as well. So now let's come to the first paragraph. So as you know that the purpose has to be clearly established here. So you have written, I'm writing to refer Miss Alison Watson was admitted. Now you see, you are giving here two pieces of information. So one is that I'm writing to refer Alison Watson. Second piece of information that you're giving is that she was admitted on 21st February, drowning accident, something about that. So two pieces of information you have to connect. So the way you can connect it is by using a relative pronoun, which is who. Okay, so
Okay,
who,
ma'am.
which, that, all of these are relative pronouns that can help you connect two pieces of information that you're giving. So you can use who. So who was admitted on 21st after a near drowning accident. So if you write drowning accident, it means that she drowned. Yeah, so near drowning. So it almost happened. So you can write just a second. Yeah, after a near hyphen drowning accident, you can write over here. So why hyphen? Because accident is a noun and near drowning is the adjective that is, qualifying the noun. So whenever we use two words for an adjective and they can't function independently, that's when we use the hyphen. Yeah, is it clear till now?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So this is how your sentence should look like. I'm writing to refer Miss Alison Watson, who was admitted on 21st after a near drowning accident. Okay. Then she requires future care and management you had written for cough and headache after her discharge today. So purpose is partially clear. So instead of future care, you could be more particular because actually from the GP you require monitoring for cough and headaches. So you could also write monitoring and further management. Why further? Because some management is already done at the hospital, right? Now you are asking the GP that in case something happens, if the condition worsens, then they can manage her condition accordingly. So that's why further management would be appropriate. And instead of future care, you could write monitoring, you could write follow-up care. Future care is, not that specific. So that's why I would recommend you to use either of these. Okay. And
Okay, ma'am.
headaches, plural. So if you notice, even in the case notes, it was written that she has to be monitored for cough and headaches. So that would come in a plural form. Yeah. So I think only grammatically it has to be a little better. Otherwise, it was fine. Next paragraph is a very good signpost that you've used during hospitalization. Now you've written that breathing and temperature are improved. So that, as I said, is a relative pronoun. But before that, there is no independent clause, right? So what is it combining? So you have to remove that. So you can write during hospitalization. Instead of are, you can write her breathing and temperature improved. Not are improved. You have to use simple past tense because this has happened already. So her breathing and temperature improved. That's it. At this point of time, you could also write that she was successfully weaned off mechanical ventilation. So that's why I've written it over here that you didn't mention about ventilation. So why is it important to write it? Because also to show the severity of the case that she needed ventilation, but then she was successfully weaned off the ventilation. So that's what you can write after writing about the breathing and temperature. Then she was experiencing some slurring of speech. So this is past tense. So you have to maintain the tense because the period of hospitalization is almost over. So another thing that comes in my mind is that she was experiencing slurring of speech. So what is the condition now in terms of speech, slurring of speech? So if you notice, Kajal, after that you've written she was commenced on speech therapy. So what is the condition now? Like now, is it better? Right? So
Yes, ma'am.
that aspect is missing. So you have to write that there has been improvement. You can write has been improvement, or it has been improving. You can write has been tells us something started in the past and till now it is improving. So it's not completely okay. So we have to indicate that. Okay, so therefore she was commenced on speech therapy. Now, if you see, the second part is not connected to the previous topic. So you've written and her concentration has been improving. So I would prefer if you combine slurring of speech with speech therapy, concentration and cognitive functions you could combine. So combine the similar topics. So instead of putting a full stop here, you could have put a semicolon here. So T would become small and therefore, and here you could end the sentence after therapy. So see, she was experiencing some slurring of speech. Therefore, she was commenced on speech therapy. But as I said, I think instead of writing this, you could tell the current scenario that her slurring of speech has been improving, and we have already made some appointments with the speech therapist. So immediately you are giving an update. So some repetition can be avoided. Okay, then you've written her concentration has been improving. Test for. So there are three tests, if you remember the case notes. Three tests we are asking neurologists to do. So plural. Tests for cognitive functions. Now you've written are normal, but she needs more tests to check for delayed problem. Um, when did you find it out that they are normal? So you can write on discharge. So it was on the day of discharge when they were normal. So on discharge, her tests for cognitive function were normal. So this has already happened. So past tense were normal, but she needs more tests to check for delayed problem, any delayed problem. So whatever might be. So any delayed problem. She was prescribed. So even for this, that she needs more tests. So what have you done about it? So here also you can write that for this, a referral to neurologist has been made. Now, Kajal, you tell me, why is it important to update the GP about this?
Ma'am, because GP always doctors helps to prescribe some medications.
Yeah, so they should know everything, right? So you're basically giving the case to a GP. So they should be updated. So when you're writing about cognitive function, about slurring of speech, so they should be aware that what did you do about this? Yeah. So let's update them about everything. That's the reason. And you're right, because they are going to further manage the condition, so they should be aware as to what's happening. Okay, and then you have written she was prescribed paracetamol again, so plural form for headaches when required. And yes, another thing I thought is missing is the progression of cough. Now, if you remember, what was the purpose? Headaches and cough, but you didn't give any information about what is her situation in relation to cough. So what you can write is that earlier she was producing pink sputum while coughing, and now she only has occasional cough, right? So that update, it becomes important because you are also writing later on that if condition worsens. And instead of condition, it was particularly written cough. If cough worsens, then she has to come back to the hospital. So that progression becomes important. Okay. And then you have written post discharge. I'm requesting to regular monitoring. You know what this sounds like? That regular monitoring is a person and you're requesting to that person. You see? So this preposition to should not be written here. So I'm requesting regular monitoring for cough. Now again, you have put one more independent, no, if written, no, that's a conditional. So one more topic you are starting that if condition is worse, then return. Yeah, so it is an independent clause actually. So there is no connector here. So you can put a comma over here, Kajal. After cough, you can write and if her condition worsens, uh, then you can add a comma and write please have her return to the hospital. So here the sentence formation was not exactly accurate. So you need to rephrase that. So you have written that if condition is worse, the return to hospital. The return to hospital is not clear. So I think you wanted to write, then have her return. So then she should return to the hospital and GP has to make sure that she does. So have her return to the hospital. And maybe you can make a new sentence from if, or as I said, because you're introducing a new independent clause, you could add a comma and then write and. Parents will contact you in case of minor issues. Yes, that's right. Kindly do the needful. I would consider this to be like it's this statement is not really adding anything. So OET always says that we should keep our requests very clear and concise. We should even keep the letter very clear and concise. So you could, directly end by writing, should you require any further information. Please do not hesitate to contact me. And then you've written yours sincerely, which is right. Towards the end, you've put a full stop after Westmont, so that is not really required. Yeah, I think you might have accidentally made that mistake. So yeah, that is not needed. So yeah, requests, I feel like here it could have more clarity. And as I said, we need to give all the updates to the GP. So here are a couple of your improvement areas. So the first one, selection of data, it can be better. As I said about the ventilation, about the progression of cough, and even the requests are not proper. So selection of data in that way, including the referrals for neurologist and speech pathology, it has been done. So that has to be included. And clarity, I also feel that because of some grammar errors, also clarity is lacking. And like even for the speech therapy, so as a reader, I'm confused that now is it fine or not? So those pieces of information need a little clarity. And so there were a lot of grammar errors that I indicated, but these are your grammar areas which need immediate attention. So focus on punctuation, relative pronouns and clauses, and tenses. I would be sending you supportive material for all three. So a couple of lectures of grammar and some worksheets related to this. So you can go through them. And if you have any questions even later on, you can feel free to ask me. Okay. Any final questions? So I'm sending you this copy so that you have it with yourself as well. And as we go through the days, you can see how you're progressing in your assessments. Okay?
Ma'am.
All right, great then. Thank you so
ma'am.
much, Kajal. Have a good day ahead. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.